My name is Kawal Sethi and you are watching Celebrity Talks with Kawal.
It's a great pleasure for me to introduce today's guest.
The Instagram bio of our today's guest says educator, journalist, TEDx speaker, documentary filmmaker, author, columnist, political analyst, motivational speaker, satirist, and storyteller. Please welcome the man of many talents, Mr. TS Sudhir. Hi, Mr. Sudhir. How are you doing?
Very well. Thank you very much. Glad to be here. Good to connect with you virtually.
Yes, actually, your work as an educator has helped not only just my children, but children across the world to help perform better in their exams. So I would like to thank you on behalf of everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Pleasure.
I know actually I personally have gone through all your books, because the exams are going on. I know. So I think every mother here has bunch of all the books of yours, and I must say, the details in that books are so helpful for everybody. So thank you so much for all the research.
Thank you.
So you have worked in the journalism industry, for a long time, and you are still very active. So how has your journalism experience helped you grow for, study with Sudhir?
Well, I have been a journalist for 30 years now. So I basically look at it more or less on the same lines, because the job is to communicate. The job is to communicate effectively. 27 out of those 30 years have been spent in front of a camera as far as journalism is concerned, audiovisual journalism. So in that sense, I'm pretty much comfortable while conversing with the camera. When the entire pandemic broke out, I found that a whole lot of teachers who were used to teaching in a typical brick and mortar classroom were not comfortable with the idea of talking to a camera, whereas something like that came pretty naturally to me. So in that sense, for me, the transition in that sense was not difficult at all, because I was used to talking to a camera. But at the root of all this is essentially the art of effective communication. If you can communicate your ideas, if you can break down, because in journalism, one of the cardinal rules that we are always told is that you need to communicate in a common man, common woman language that they can understand. So the idea is to break it down, make it completely simplified for the student, not give him or her unnecessary jargon. And that's precisely what one tries to do as part of this entire digital classroom exercise.
Very true. Sir, it is said that, a little bit of stress is good for your body and mind, but the word examination, has become a fear among students. So do you think instead of teaching values and knowledge, students are subjected to unhealthy competition that makes them feel dejected?
Examinations are good, examinations are bad. It depends entirely on how you look at it. It's just, I draw a lot of analogies from sports, because I've covered sports for a very long period of time, and I'm very fascinated by the way sports persons approach their particular sport. So sports, obviously they need to compete, and all of them kind of prepare for a particular event. It could be the Asian Games, it could be the World Championships, it could be the Olympics, once in 4 year kind of an event. So everyone tries to ensure that they peak at the right time, at the right tournament. The examinations are also something like that you need to kind of ensure that you have gone through the drill in order to peak at the right time. The problem with the entire education system, the way it is structured right now, is that one, there is too much of emphasis on rote learning, which is why in our classes, I keep telling them, listen to the whole thing, like say, for instance, history, only as a story. Don't try to kind of mug up anything. The problem with many of our school teachers, school examination system is that, for instance, I was looking at some examination papers of a school in Haryana. 1/3 of the questions were about when was this person born, when did this person die. That, according to me, is immaterial. You are kind of clogging your mind space with unnecessary information, unless say it is the date of death of someone like say Indira Gandhi, because it led to major events soon after. I don't think you really need to remember when was a particular personality born or died. What he did in his life and on what date he did it, that's of course important, not on the day he was born or died. So our entire education system has also to evolve, not focus on this kind of rote learning. And number two, also the second big problem area is that we look at syllabus as divorced from our life in general. That, irrespective of how you perform in your examinations and in your school life, that will have no impact on life in general. I'm hoping that the new education policy will change things to a large extent, make them more trendy, make them more relevant to life in general. Once that happens, that's fine. Coming to your question, specific question about examinations and stress. Yes, I do agree. There is a lot of stress about examinations, and the way to do it is to make that entire ecosystem less stressful. Not to say that this is the end of your life if you don't perform at a 95% level in your board examinations, your life will be finished. No, it never happens. No examination is the final examination of life. In life, you actually get to face many more real life examinations on a day-to-day basis, which is much more important. So examination is just another milestone. Yes, if they perform well in examinations, it gives them some kind of a morale booster, which tells them that, okay, I'm good enough. I was good enough to cross that hurdle successfully. So I can do the same thing. I can replicate the same in my next examination. So in that sense, academic success translates into some kind of self-confidence, which I think is very important.
Very true, and the way you were selling with sports and education, the balance thing. I have to share this small story with you. Right now, since the boards are going on, my son is in 10th, and he is into cricket. He plays for the Dubai teams in Dubai. So he's having matches going on at night. He's coming back at home at 1:30 a.m. Taking shower, sleeping, and getting up and going for exams. For me, I think when I was a kid, I don't think so I was having that even guts to do something like this. So I think it really depend on on you, how you take that kind of stress.
I think that's a great approach. That way he's not taking the stress of the examination, he's treating it as yet another part of his day, the month of November, December, that he has to do. I think that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. So can you give us some tips to convert this stress from hindering to helping?
Well, see, first of all, that entire ecosystem, which basically consists of this ecosystem at home, ecosystem at school. First of all, at home, I think that whole, what I joke about, you don't really need to compete with the Sharma ji ka beta. I mean, you don't need to tell your son that your son or your daughter that you're not as good as the neighbor's son or daughter or my colleague's son or daughter. Each individual is different. Each individual's life journey is different. So, they all carve their own paths. There's absolutely no problem. In fact, just to tell you, for instance, in my daughter's school, I always used to tell her that this student who comes first will do well in life, and he has done very well in life. He's the topper as far as he was a NEET topper, all India topper. But the student who was not doing so well also, I always used to observe that particular boy. He was very good in the way he used to converse. So I used to tell my daughter, this boy is going to be a brilliant communicator because he knows how to talk in a group of, say, 5 to 6 parents also, people who are 20 years elder to him, 25 years elder to him. So that's a brilliant skill to have at the age of 15, 16. So how you perform now may well not have any bearing. Your academic marks, whether you got 75% or 95%, may well have no bearing on how you do in life later. The second one is about the ecosystem in school. In school, again, to draw an example from my daughter's school, just the week before the examinations, they had called everyone. And from that group, they selected 15 students and asked them to go to another room. So the 30 other students who were not invited to that select group of 15 felt very left out, because the group of 15 was the group which the school thought is going to do very well in the examination. So they wanted to give them some extra tips and stuff like that, which according to me is a very negative thing to do. You are unnecessarily creating those divisions. And if a student from that group of 30 is already feeling tense, or is already feeling that I am not good enough, you're only adding to that. So the ecosystem in school matters, where you tell every student that I think you are a winner. And a winner is also someone, not necessarily someone who moves from a 92 to 94. In my eyes, a winner is someone who moves from a 65 to an 85, because that journey is much more challenging. It shows that he or she has done so much more to move from a 65 to 85. A 92 to 93 or a 94 may actually not be that much of a challenge, because you already know that that student is at a particular level. So every student's journey is different. How to deal with the stress at this point in time? Again, as I said, if you give the right kind of support system and say that, okay, we think you are good enough, you just need to manage. Most students suffer. The biggest problem is of time management, that they do not know how to manage their time, how to kind of plan their day, their study schedule in such a way that they can be most efficient, even if they study for only 3 hours. There's no point sitting in the study room for 7 hours if those extra 4 hours are going to be spent daydreaming. So it's
Correct.
all about time management. So if parents and teachers can guide and mentor them in that sense, I think each student is a potential winner.
Very true, sir. Very well said. In fact, but still, as a parent, we are concerned about future of our children's. But sometimes that concern is perceived, by children's as expectations. What are some things that parents should keep in mind?
Uh, First of all, if parents can help in a particular subject, because when a child sees that, okay, his or her parent is also walking that extra mile, sitting with him and saying that, okay, this is a chapter I can help you with, so let's do it together, or let's do a quiz together after that. In fact, one of my exercises which I always talk about in my videos is to say that involve a sibling or one of your parents, maybe even a grandparent, in an exercise and say that, okay, I have studied this chapter, why don't you ask me these questions? Involve the family member in your path, make them partners in that sense, in what you are trying to do, in what you're trying to achieve, because then it becomes a family exercise. And according to me, it's great bonding
Yeah.
for a grandparent or a father or an elder sibling, even a younger sibling. In fact, I would say that, if you feel very bored sitting in your room, you have two options. One, you could pretend you're teaching the person who you are seeing in the mirror, which is yourself. Or if you have a pet at home, even talk to the pet. It helps. It's a stress buster, and it can make the entire process of learning fun. But if you can involve family members, great. Number two, never compare. I think that's very important. Most Indian parents, all of us, tend to make that mistake of comparing, saying that, how did he get 48 and you got only 46 out of 50? I think that's not important. If your child has worked hard and done an honest job of the examination process, not indulged in any unfair means, I think that 46 out of 50 is much more precious and valuable than someone who has cheated and got a 50 on 50. So I think that's very important. Encourage the child at every step. I think there is a lot of pressure on them also to say that, if you come fifth in the class and not second in the class, you will be seen as a lesser academically oriented or a lesser brilliant student than someone else. They should be told that it's okay. And especially 10th class, it's perfectly okay. In life, as you would know, no one asks us how much did we score in geography in class 10. No one in the last 30 years of my working career has ever asked me that. No one will do that. Only advantage of these examinations is that it helps you pitch yourself at a national level and say that, okay, how am I when I'm competing with 2 lakh other students? Where am I placed? Whether I can take this pressure. And soaking in the pressure is very important. So many, for instance, just to take an analogy from sports, you have reached the finals of the World Badminton Championship. You have those 45 minutes to an hour, which could make or break you. You get tense, you will lose the match. So it's all about the mind. It's all about how strong you are in the mind in order to be able to face that next 1 hour. It's a similar thing for the student. So whether they're able to soak in the pressure, whether they're able to perform well when there is pressure is good, because that will prepare them for the life ahead, personal career as well as personal life as well as professional life.
Very correct, sir. Very correct, sir. But I think nowadays social media is always there. I think every child is there on social media, whether you like it, you don't like it. But students sometimes face difficulties focusing on their studies due to social media. So, do you think social media is bad for students?
See, when we were growing up, there was no social media. Did we not have distractions? Of course, we had distractions. Now the distraction is there at the touch of a button in your palm, on your mobile phone or on a laptop, on your iPad or tablet. So how do you deal with social media? It's a big challenge. It's not easy. I mean, do we as adults find it easy to detox ourselves? No, we don't. So why should we kind of insist that students should also do that, completely cut themselves off all forms of social media, say a month before the examinations? It's not easy because the temptation is too much. The FOMO is too strong. I should not miss out on anything that my friends or classmates are also getting to see if they are logged into different forms of social media. So it's not easy. What I think, again, parents, and here I think the role of the parents is very important, is to say that, okay, I am able to detox myself. I am able to say that, okay, post 7 o'clock, I will not look at any form of social media for the next 12 hours before it's morning. So if you set an example for the child also says that, okay, if he or she can do it, so can I. Then in a very healthy manner, say that, okay, do have some forms of social media and not these ones which are going to be a distraction for you. Number 3, have a distraction hour, a specific half hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and say that, okay, during this hour, you can reply to whatever messages, check out any, your Instagram, Facebook, whatever different forms of social media they are on. But the remaining 23 hours, you need to remain detoxed, whether that works. So you need to see at the end of the day, again, to give an example from sports, I follow badminton very closely.
Okay.
During the 2018 Olympics, the last Olympics, the Rio Olympics, when PV Sindhu won the silver medal, for 6 months before that, the national badminton coach Pulela Gopichand, who's a close friend of mine, he had taken away her mobile phone and she gave it to him. That I will give it to you after you win a medal. The day she won the silver medal, he returned her mobile phone. So you need to make those sacrifices to be in that zone. That being in that zone is very important, where you cut yourself off this surround sound. On social media, there is a lot of garbage which is put out in the name of information, in the name of help for the students. I think the students need to be in the zone, cut themselves off surround sound, so that they can focus on creating the music. I think that's very important.
That's very true. In fact, I mean, I'm sure once we release this recording, right, I'm sure this is going to be a highlight of my video. That well said. So, but still, one change, if you have to do it in in current education system, what change that will be?
Well, first of all, make the syllabus itself more relevant to the times that we live in. To take an example, English literature, of course, William Shakespeare, the greatest of the playwrights we have seen on stage, I mean, the earlier generations, or read definitely. I mean, Macbeth, Hamlet, whatever, King Lear, all of them great works. But we need to also, they are talking about a Europe of a particular era with which the student of today in the towns like Gorakhpur, Bhagalpur, Jamshedpur, Meerut does not find a connect to. Why can't we make our syllabus more relevant to the India and the world we live in by choosing texts which are more contemporary? I think there is a need to relook at the kind of syllabus that, I'm not saying cut out all European literature, cut out all American literature, but make them more relevant to the times that we live in. You need to understand history, no doubt about that. When you're talking about World War I, World War II, let's not look at them only as isolated events. We need to structure the syllabus, the writing of our chapters, the writing of our textbooks in such a way that they are relevant to the India and the world we live in. What has been the impact of World War II on 2021, 1945 on 2021? That I think is very important. Right now, what I see in most history books, for instance, is a complete disconnect between what happened then and what the world is, so that students are not able to relate, right? So that's a big problem. When you're talking of something like civics or political science, again, the same thing comes. Students do not understand politics. And this I find very, very, a little bit concerning, because they're all going to be voters in a couple of years. So shouldn't they be more aware of the politics and the governance systems of India today? And why should the civics book be a very sanitized version that this is what the Speaker of the Lok Sabha does, this is what this person does, and make it more relevant to whether that is happening? Have discussions in school, whether they're aware of the India of today. So making syllabus more relevant to the world that we live in right now will go a long way in also to make them interested. Okay, this is what is happening, this is what I've read in the textbook, but see, this is what is happening. So they'll be able to correlate what is happening.
Yes.
That correlation, that link is missing right now.
That's very true. I hope government will do something about it and change the study
I hope the
material
new
for
education
us.
policy kind of brings about those changes. Hopefully.
Okay. Sir, I have planned a game for you.
Ah,
Okay. So the game is called Are You Smarter Than the Fifth Grader?
oh God.
Are you ready for it?
I may not be.
No, I'm sure. It's a very simple questions, and I'm sure
If you're going to ask me about maths and physics, sorry, I will fail.
No, I will not ask you. Okay. Okay, so the first question is, what planet is the closest to the sun?
Closest to the sun, Mercury, right?
Yes, see? Okay, who was the first president of India?
Rajendra Prasad.
Sorry?
Dr. Rajendra Prasad.
Correct. Sorry, I could not hear it. What is H2O also known as?
Water.
Yeah, see, so simple I'm asking you.
I can
Okay.
play past five.
What do you see? Sorry, why do you see lightning before you can hear the thunder?
Because of the speed of light is more than that of sound.
How many continents are there?
Is it 7 or 9?
7. What is the capital of Andhra Pradesh?
That's a tricky one because even Jagan Mohan Reddy does not know which is the capital. So I can say both Amravati and Visakhapatnam.
Amravati. Yeah. What is the second highest mountain in the world?
I don't. Is it Kilimanjaro? No.
K2.
K2.
Yeah. Okay. What is the past tense of put?
Put.
Yeah. How many times India has won World Cup in ODI cricket?
2. 83
Yeah.
and 2011.
Correct.
That much I know. I mean, I'm a cricket buff.
See, you know everything. What do you call the group of owls?
In fact, my daughter was asking me some such similar questions last night. She's in college, of course. I don't.
Parliament.
What is, yes. Fine. She's asking me something about sheep yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, this one I'm sure you know. The process by which plant makes their own food is called?
Photosynthesis.
Yes. Okay, so can you name the color of rainbow?
Vibgyor, no? I mean, color
Yes.
means?
Yes, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Yeah, see you. Okay, so the one actually, by the way, you won all the answers. You were pro.
Parliament.
You were pro. Thank you so much, for coming to this show. I mean, it was a pleasure having you here, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
I would really like all those watching to like, to share among your friends and relatives and teachers, and also subscribe to the channel.